Okay, we're going to be doing part 3, Tuesday, September 23rd, and starting at 8 o'clock tonight, obviously. And I'll go as far as I can, and depending on how many people come on, I guess. But I have a different setup tonight. So I'll explain that in a few minutes. This is so you can see more of what's going on. Hopefully the 8 o'clock time that I chose would work with you guys. Dan, how you doing? Hey, glad you made it. Let me make sure my volume is all the way up. Nope, it wasn't. Okay. So I'm just talking to myself. All right. So, Dan, we will wait. How's the volume? How's my sound? If you could just give a thumbs up, or I hope it's working. Can you hear me, Dan? That's great. It's always good to know. So, yeah, so I've got this nice palette in front of us tonight. And what I tried to do is I've got the phone and the arm holding it out further from the desk. Okay, and I've got the easel. There's an easel back there with this pretty far back, further than the last time. But I want you guys to be able to see the palette that I have, in front of it. So there'll be some mixing going on that you can actually see. So hopefully a few more people come on. I tagged some people too. I'm just gonna, let's see, I'm gonna get a little bit of the darker airbrush color into the Wada side bottle, Micron. This is mixture that I made last week. So it's still, still running strong, and a little bit of 4021 in it, and it went. Okay, so let's put this here just to test the spray a little bit. Make sure the gun is behaving. I'll move all this and after we get a few more people on. Okay, so we got the shadow color on the lighthouse. I'm going to tape off that one more time just to put a twinge more of darkness in and add a little bit more of a shadow that's coming down on an angle. So I'll be using the blue tape. Remember, it's on stretch canvas. Now, what is this? Oh, because I put the thing in front. Come on, get back in focus. That's weird. There we go. All right, I'm just going to start. Obviously, not a lot of people know or didn't pay attention. I surely advertised it all over my pages and stuff. Okay. It'll be there for somebody to look at later, I guess. I'm not going to stay on super long if it's not a larger crowd, because I just want more people to be able to be on live with me. Okay, so I did this last week, obviously, where I added that shadow, and I'm just going to tweak it a little bit more on the edge. And I am going to mention I was using Createx, which you can use, the Createx illustration colors. But having said that, it's better to use the Wicket illustration colors that are finely, they're really great they're stronger, they're tougher, and the pigment is really fine, and spray's really excellent, but it's a stronger paint. So when you're going back and forth, you won't have any problems. So if anybody started using the Createx illustration colors, you can always just give a little bit of a Krylon mist of clear satin over it. I like satin to keep the shine down. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just add to the edge of the shadow, because where it turns in, it seems to be a little darker. But I also want to protect I'm working around the phone, so let's just get over here a little bit. That should be good enough. Just want to protect that part. Okay, so we're going to bring up a little more darkness. This is where the airbrush comes in for bringing an exact color that I match. So I'll be spraying on the tape, and I'm going to just second coat it, mostly on the tape, letting it deflect on to the surface. Bring a little bit more darkness, because it is very dark in the picture there, you can see. And there's also a nice little shadow coming off of. Now, if you're just using paintbrushes, you can do all this just by painting it in with what I called glazing, which is adding a watery mixture to it. Okay, so who else we got here? Just okay. I use both also. Good. Okay, so the shadow here is coming down right there, and it goes all the way up to those white stanchions or whatever they're called. I got to be careful because I did not protect. I should do that. The Mylar stencil also has other benefits, which you can see here, which would be little holes and stuff to make texture. So I want to make sure I don't spray those little textures into my painting here. Okay. Now I'll darken it here again. Maybe air dry it a little. Just making sure that the fuzzy edge is wide enough at the bottom too. Looks pretty good from here. Okay, a little air drying. Okay, so I'll explain the acrylic part. Paintbrushes, have all kinds of fun with it. It's very dark in here, so I can just, I'm putting a lot more volume. The air is much more than I would use, but I'm working from a distance and I'm seeing the darkness in here, so I'm gonna just put it in with more air, with the MAC valve, more volume. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that little bit of paint in there, because while it's sitting, I'm gonna put some either distilled water or 4021, just a little bit in there, so that when you're spraying, you can be sure that you don't have your airbrush going, hard, getting hard on the needle there, and tip dry, hardening, all that garbage. Okay. I need the lid. Here it is. So I'm going to clear off the palette. I set it up this way just to start the video. So we have water off to the side here. I can do this kind of stuff. There's my water. But you don't really have to see that container. You just know I'm dipping in it. And I'll just bring it over as far as so that you guys can see the palette. Hopefully the palette is good for your visual there. Yeah, I gotta watch that overspray is right. I'm happy with that. See, that's the Createx illustration color, I do believe. That's kind of being lifted up. Yeah, a little bit went here, but I'm planning on putting more light into that area. So it's not like it went into the sky, and we're good there. Okay. So last week we laid in the underpainting. This was the color for the left side, the lit up side. The whole thing, obviously, when the guys went to paint it, they had this color. And it's sunlight and shadows that make that color change visually, right? Okay, so JC, hello there. How are you? Okay, so there's a palette here. We got the Grumbacher tube paint, which is acrylics in a tube. What you're going to see more of is mixing right in front of you, which could be fun. And there's the fence laid in. This is a wash, almost like watercolor, just to find everything. But now I'm going to start getting serious about the darks, lights, and the true colors. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing a lot better than yesterday, I guess. Okay, so talk about a few brushes here. Let me get the. Okay, so when you're doing the canvas and you're doing the big canvas, I mean really big, you got different sizes. These are not expensive. These are, you can buy like at Michael's, I think somewhere around $6 for three of them, three different sizes that get smaller and smaller. And then when you have the gesso, which I hand wrote on there, and you mix it with a little bit of water, you can put that on just like Bob Ross does with his Magic White. And then while that is on there, you can go into your acrylics, and while that's wet, you can blend colors. You could do like a darker blue into a lighter blue, and it will look just like airbrushing. And we did a little bit of that, but I didn't use this one because obviously this is for bigger canvas. So they come in smaller sizes. They come, I think, 1 inch, 2 inch, whatever. This is called a hake brush. I'm talking a little bit acrylics tonight. The hake brush, hake, I think that's how they say it, is very soft. And it is used kind of treating it like once you get your colors on, it's still wet. This is very soft. You can do some real soft glazing, not glazing, but blending. That's not going to push hard in, and it really is a tremendous brush for acrylics. So that's called Jerry Yarnell, and it's the hake brush. If you could only feel, it's very soft, very soft. Then you get your flats for the big areas when you want to paint across. And you got your ferrule again, that's flat and squeezed. And when you're cleaning them, you got to really squeegee them out so that that paint doesn't dry down in there and make the brush become less useful. Then there's your fan brushes from Bristol. This one's cool. They cut it in the factory to be for fur. So when you start messing with it and you go on angles, you can do wisps and create like fur on a dog or something. So that's kind of like missing some teeth there on purpose. It's kind of it's a bristle brush, but this is a flat with an angle. They're nice because you can go this way, but you can also go this way. So there's just different brushes that are available. And then even with the acrylics, using this is a filbert, and this is like for scrubbing and scumbling in clouds. It's got more strength. It's a bristle brush. I can't even talk, but you know what I'm talking about. So you can go in circular because you sure don't want to use a brush like this to do clouds. because it's flat. You know, it's rectangular. So the filbert is cut round, and this is from the oil painting world. That's why it's so long, but I have the shorter versions of it and stuff. So that's all good stuff there. And you need your trusty pliers once in a while for the acrylics when they sit. If you don't clean them off good, just to get the thing to open up. So right now, let's see. I was going to show you one more kind of special brushes. All right. When I was in the sign business, this has nothing to do with acrylics, but these are quills, and they are wired on, and this is gray squirrel hair. It was really hard chasing the squirrel, trying to get that, but he wasn't harmed. We just took a little bit of his. No, it is really squirrel though. That's for like lettering on trucks and creating, you know, S's and O's, and this is, you start getting into outlining cartoons if you're doing a pickup truck, you know, that kind of stuff. Thanks for the likes, guys. That makes me feel good. Okay, so yeah, we've gotten this crazy one. This is called the Wizard. Everybody knows, you should know him, right? Wizard. He's a pinstriper, fabulous, out of this world, steady hand and control. He does fire, flames, paints some birds and then flowers, and all on vehicles and metal panels. But this is his, so it is got the wire, it does have the wire on it, and it is from the sign industry. So again, it's squirrel hair, I would assume. And, you know, you get different size. This is a Bristol fan brush. This is good for like when you're painting and you want to wisp it, and maybe you're doing a waterfall or something. It's got some strength to it. It's, you know, it's not just a soft one. Okay. Of course, we all know we can use this for flickering in the nighttime sky, stars and stuff like that. You got to be really controlled and careful. All right. And so that's pretty much that. I've got now we got white on there. So we'll put this, I have a water over to the side, okay? And this water is to receive brushes that have a lot of paint on them. So that water is going to get dirty. This water is the clean water, okay? So that water is the clean water, okay? So that is for dipping into, and it's distilled water, you know, it's definitely a good thing to have, especially with the airbrush. You know, I like distilled water for watercolor painting and everything. So everything is, you know, this easel is backed with a piece of aquaboard or something from the sign business, I think, but it's a white backing. It's very spongy and movable. And then I pinned down the palette, which they say you can get the paint off, the acrylic paint off very easily, because it just doesn't stick to this palette real good. So let's get started with, okay, we did a shadow here a little bit. So I added that. I got a little bit of a problem there with a little overspray. As far as fine detailing and tweaking the little windows and all that, that'll be the last thing I'll do. And I just put that in rough. It looks like a cinder block, and it's very, very rough. It needs touch-ups. But this is also very far away from me. So if I push in the drawer, I will get closer, but then I won't be seeing the actual cell phone. You know, I won't be seeing comments and stuff. Thanks. Appreciate it. It's all stuff from my school over the years. But, all right, so let's look at the real photo. We've got, let's look at the big one. It's somewhere around here. Now remember, the big one has my airbrush system on there, so I can take that off now because I'm doing a lot of acrylic painting now. So we can see this better, you know. Little guides. Paint from my finger. Oh boy. All right, so take them off because I'm done with them That would be if I was airbrushing it completely. I would have all these colors. And I could still, you know, find my numbers and stuff, but I'm not treating this painting this way. So when you look at what's going on in there, it seems like they could have, the grounds could have been kept a little, I don't know, maybe they like that natural look, but I like it in here. I like that. It's not, it's a little more groomed. This is kind of crazy, but I'm going to try to put it in. So the greenery, you know, and the darks. So the first thing I'm going to do is get out. I don't want the light reflecting on this, so let's see if we can put that behind there a little bit. Okay, that should be good. And then I got the small one that I can look at over here for my, to pull up and, okay, so I'm going to try to get, I'm going to go after some of the grass and stuff and the trees, and then I'll cut in some of the, because it's going to be cleanup either way. If you pull one of the weeds out or the grass out over the fence where it might be hanging over, then it's going to, you know, have to have the fence finished. But in this case, I can make a little bit more of a mess and then cut in the board. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get sap green. Okay, hopefully you can watch the mixtures. A little bit of basic color theory. Okay, so the sap green is very dark. It can be made much darker. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to paint the darks first. So I'm not going to make any real, you know, like the lighter leaves yet. So there's your green there. And the basics of color theory would be the opposite of green. Think of Christmas, would be red. This is for the beginners that have no color theory, and the red doesn't want to come out. Why is that? Because I haven't been into this color for a long time. So I'm going to get my X-Acto knife and puncture that a little bit. Okay. Hopefully some will come out now. Okay. Got a real thick block going on. And I've gotten away from acrylic painting and stuff for the most part because I'm not teaching in the school anymore. And so my first love is airbrushing. And therefore, I could have taken better care of this. I'm trying to get the color out. There it comes, a little bit. Real skinny little, there we go. Don't need a lot. It's a secondary. It's a opposite. So it's not going to need, I can clean this later. Okay, so let's get going here. If I didn't say hi to anybody that's on here, hello. To the shy ones that just watch, hello, how are you all doing? Okay, so I based in the gray, I could see that this has to be a little taller. All those adjustments can be made. But right now I'm going to take a filbert. I'll show you a small one. I like it because it's round. And I'm going to just go into the green where you can see it right here, hopefully. But you know what I'm doing at least. I'm going to make that dark, pretty dark. Okay, and if you look at the picture, you've got a lot of, let's see how much of that is sitting. I should be all right. I can lift it up. So that is actually even darker. So what would make that darker is possibly a little bit of, I've got raw umber here. I've got black. I got black and I'm not afraid to use it. Okay, so we've got that little thing there that goes like that. Don't break your fingers, right? Hopefully you guys can see. So you put your paints out there. And now at this point, if you're putting it away, you would take a paper towel or a rag and clean the threads really good. Try to get to that at another time. Right now, they're pretty messed up from before. Okay. And even a little bit of, I'm going to go to a dark Prussian blue. I'm just off the top of my head making a color. I'm shooting from the hip. I want color in it. I don't want just black, so I'll put the Prussian blue. The kind of, once they put them out, whoops, that's too much. Once you put the colors out, though, it's like, you know, try to be careful squeezing them out because you're wasting paint. Can't get it back in the tube. Okay, so we're going to get into this blue a little bit. And to kick it up a little, because I've already got the green in there, hopefully you can see that. Okay, you can add your yellow to brighten up the darker color. So let me do that. And I'm just putting in a backdrop for the lighter greenery to go on top of. And acrylics dry quick. I can use the airbrush. I can use, obviously, don't want to have that up there. I can use the air from the airbrush, or I can use a hair dryer. Okay. Man, you put down the lids and you're like, where did I put it? And it's right here. Okay, so now I can spark up a little bit. Got a real dark color here, as you can see. It doesn't look like anything special, but we can get a little bit of more green in it. But now it's really sunk in the value area. It's got a little more, yeah, it's got a little more prettiness to it. So now I could use a little bit of distilled water. My cup is right on the side. I might be too watery, so I just have to do the same thing again. The green, a little bit of the blue, and I think that was the black. Yeah, it's pretty dark, so we're just going to cut that through. I'm not worried about taping off, but I have the luxury of turning the painting. And that's a nice thing, where you could just cut it in like that. Remember, the fence is going to be blocking all this, so we'll get a base in there. And over here, it's more of the yellow, so I'm not going to go over there so much. Turn the brush, get as much out of it as I can. That would probably be nice to have a little flat at that point, a flat brush, but can also just, because it's canvas and you're using the tapes, like the blue tape here in this case, I can cut in that straight edge right there. Okay, so we're going to take this brush. I'm glad you guys were able to join me later tonight. We were supposed to be going out, but the day didn't go the way we planned, so I still posted the time, you know, for what it was, and left it. I'm not worried about if I crash into the fence a little, because there's going to be another color there. And it's all dry, so, well, it's not dry yet, but, so we've got that background color waiting to put the leaves and stuff in there. And this is yellow ochre. Just a base to have a little bit of, boy, I'm putting a lot of paint out, but that's okay. It's just trying to do a live feed. So I'm going to clean this one off. Let's see, what am I doing here now? I'm going to use the same brush, and got the paper towels on the side, or a little old shirt, whatever, right? Now, while it's wet, I'm going to crash this color into this color, just for another kind of abstract background. But this time we're not like watercoloring. This time we're really trying to get areas that are more solid. Let's see how good I can get that with a filbert. So does that go out? beyond, yeah. Oh, this one it doesn't. Okay, so this one's going to probably be a little more beach sand and that kind of thing. So you could take the white just to remind yourself you're cutting some sand in there later. So just kind of just do that now because it's more gray anyway. It's not that color, but that'll just keep me in the place I need to be. So this still has some darks back here. And I'm just gonna, whoops, that's the white. So I got to get that. Just putting it in where it's going to come up and allow to have black shadows or green shadows around the fences. Okay. And over there in the corner, it's real dark, so it's the same thing. So let's take the proper brush so that you don't have to take it off. And that would be a really nice, where is it? A flat, they call it. But, okay. I guess I could try this. This is a little big, but I'm trying it. The nice part is it's got that nice edge, nice rectangular edge. So when you go in, you get over here, you could just lay that in there and it will make, that's too watery, but I'm going to paint down there too. Too cheap to buy a frame, so no. It's still tacky wet too, but just pulling it aside for a minute because I'm doing the bottom. This needs a lot more color and yellow to pump it back up. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is just put this on the bottom, at least in this area. And a little bit of water, help move that a little bit better. They have all kinds of mediums you can buy to move this paint along, but I'm using distilled water. There's clear gesso, which is good for, now there's not too much dark back in here, so I'll just put a little bit. It's fast, you know, you can think of airbrushing and stuff and enhance it, but the airbrushing will be like a lot more taping off, this is kind of fast. Paint on my photograph, okay. All right, so I got a nice dark base in there. Get a little more black in that. And I could come along here. And I don't have to be perfect because I'm going to cut the fence in. So that's really black. And we could put a little bit of more of the green. That really is the black. Because it's just, it might not even be needed here too much, but you're going to paint over it and the brighter colors are going to show up. So let's get this one more time. And we can get a little bit of water and it helps move it. Jerry Yarnell is the one I learned. He passed away recently, I think, but I know he passed away, but he's the one that I learned some of this the gesso stuff, you know. And it was really amazing, especially having the school back in the day, to be able to let that acrylic paint not go crazy on you. All right, so we've got darks out here. That's going to be the other brush. So I know this is laid in here, but I'm going to put the lights on top of this. So this is all kind of smashed now. Okay. Okay, JC. Thank you. It's okay. Thanks for popping in. So I'm not worried about the fence. I'm just going to put some darks in right there. And I'll put the lights on top of it, go up higher into the sky, especially over here. And then the lights will show up on top of these colors. But then when you get into a little bit more, you need to control it better. Then you need a brush that's finer that you could go in and start putting, like right here, you want to kind of be more in control, but we need more liquid. Don't go too high. It's a little hard because it's so far away from me, but that will be good because you want to see some. And then the green kind of, there is some dark right in here. I'll put some yellow in it. It goes right over the lighthouse. Don't be afraid to paint over whatever you have to. Your blue and your yellow will make a nice green too. So right here, we're going to just kind of tap that in and go up a little bit, not too high because it's a lighter color there. And then down here, just add some, and what else? We got some over here that cuts in right here. Don't want to cover that water. Just want to kind of put a little bit, like one, maybe something like that. Just breaking out into the water. Just let the bush show the water through the spots. Just kind of goes away then. It's just not there anymore, and then the fence will cut right through here. All right. On the other side, it's definitely got more of a white. I'm just making colors as I go. This is just a little bit more filling in. Again, this doesn't matter now. I leaned into the paint, so I got to be careful there. Once you start putting the light colors on top of the dark, that's when things start to happen. Just paint the edge real quick, a little bit. Okay, so we're going to give an example of that right now. A little airbrush to dry it. Let's see, we don't want no paint in there. And distilled water, just flush it out a little bit so that no color will go on there. I'm turning up the volume on the air to air dry this. Hair dryer works faster, but this has been sitting there for a little bit too. It feels a little tiny tacky, but nothing real bad. So I'm not airbrushing there, I'm just drying stuff. So now we could take a nice brush that would do the job. I'll try this Winsor Newton, and I'm gonna kind of just make, I'm not trying to do photorealistic matches. I'm trying to do what I see in the painting, and I can get away with it because it's a combination look that I'm going for. If I touch it to the painting, it needs a little bit more white and a lot more yellow. That's what I think. And then we could start by putting a leaf in, and see if it's bright enough. Just one little leaf, all by its lonesome. It takes time. You know, you got all kinds of leaves that are going in different directions. I'm gonna have to bring my other arm around and probably bring the painting to here. So you can almost stamp them in. Some are overlapping. You want to leave some of that dark behind there. And it's definitely got more green going on in there. So more of a, let's see, what do I got in the, I'm going to try my electric green. Where is it? Probably upside down. Some colors are very bright, and I'm trying, maybe I hid it because it was something I thought I wasn't going to use. Okay. So, yeah, oh, here it is. Look how loud that is. But it might do the job. You can go like that. And now I'm going to take it to this mixture with some yellow. Yeah, it's getting much brighter. The sun's hitting it, you know. Some leaves are going like this. They're like pointy and then they get fat. You just got to be willing to put them in. And then some are really yellow. Some. They're just here and there. Half of this one maybe. Man, there's so many. So many. Going this way. Back to the darker. I'll try to just do an area and then move into some, you know, these longer ones back here. Like, 'cause a lot of these are going to be very light. That's too dark even. So I'll use a liner for that. I'm sorry. Oh boy. Oh, all my paint that was on my hand right there went on my holder, not on the phone itself. So that was a good thing. I must have just leaned right into it. So just give me a second. I'm going to wipe off the holder. There we go. Let that dry. It looks really artsy. Okay. All right. Now we want to go into a really cool brush that would get this. The liner brushes are really great. I'm not going to use the Wizard. It's a special brush. I'm going to use something. This is the Wizard. That's like the sign painting world. But once you wet it, you know, then it becomes a weapon. You know, it becomes very thin. And that's when you can pull all your scrolling and stuff, which I do not do. Okay, I need to get these soaking a little and to not let them sit upside down in the water, which I'm guilty of a million times. Just get them wet. They're off to the side. And has this got it in here too? Wow. Okay, let's see if I can wake this up before it hardens. That would be cutting right through. Remember that beam is going to go higher, so it becomes right in here and back in here, but not all the way down. I don't have to worry about taping. It just has to be waiting for, and then it goes away. It's the lighter colors. So we can kind of just, oh, I see a white line I drew. So that's actually the thickness. No, I got to bring that down a little lower. I'll make up my mind on how thick that will be. That was getting a little too fat. Just base colors, just background, knock them in colors. Okay, so now the liners are nice. They have a long, just like that other one I showed you. This one looks thinner. I think I'm going to go with that one. Once you wet it, and then you want to twirl it too. You want to get your color. This is very yellow. I'm not too worried about opposites right now because some of this paint is pretty dirty already. I just want to get something started with the yellow, green, maybe a little white. And then roll that brush like that. Then you could take like a piece of paper and practice strokes. Like that. But that's too fat for this painting, so I'm going to have to be more disciplined. Yeah, right in here. There's not a lot of background back there, that is. They're not going to show up till the other fence is put in. Are they back here too a little bit? Roll it, water, twirl it, and then work it out on the palette a little bit and just cut through. That's too thick. They're all over the place, these things. So you go back in with the darker then, and you can cut around them and make them skinnier. But you got to get the darker, and I don't have that out. Put that out there. Grumbacher Acrylics by Academy. This not student quality paint. It's I'm going to put some blue into that. Prussian blue. Oh, that might have been the black. Okay, I'm going to mix that color all over again over here. But then you can come back in and start to shape some of the ones that didn't come out nice, like right here. And so it begins all the back and forth until you get that crazy, busy, wonderful. I'm almost seeing like a green with a blue in it. That would be phthalo, maybe. Put some phthalo out. You can load your palette, but sometimes with the acrylics, watercolors, you can wake them up. But acrylics, they can harden, and that'll be it, You can put them on a wet palette, and the moisture from the sponge and the paper will keep them alive. That's always good because you can do mixtures and get, I'm going to try yellow with that one. Yeah, it has a little bit more of a, definitely phthalo. It's like a bluish green that goes in here. You might not see it. Yeah, there it is. Second coat, one of them. You could do some crashing too, like where you just put them in, go back in with the darks, and just, I got to refine this later. I got to find where I'm going and all that kind of stuff. But anything in the lighter family is going to start showing up on top of the dark background. I'm just putting abstract shapes in right now to get something going. And this is like this green. So I lost some of that darkness. There's not as much darkness over here though, so. It's still a base color right now. It's not individual things yet. They're going to take time. This is going to come out to about here. I'm going to try my, I have a brush called the Badger. Let me see where it is. It's not an airbrush. And it can save you time and trouble for getting texture and stuff with the tap of the top of it. I'm just looking for it because I'm not seeing it. I know I probably pulled it out. Give me a second. Oh, here it is. Okay, this is the Badger. Okay, looks like that. So if you go down into, let's get a little water on it, and let's get, I'm just going to take some of this for a minute. This, probably with some white. This is like straw coming out. But you can also use it for, and then you can paint on top of that where this comes out from the fence area. And let's try the green area now. And then you could start going, whoops, that's too hard. Creating more things like in here very fast. Going onto the fence a little. So it starts giving you an abstract shape that you can hold like this too and get in here between those boards. All right, so we're just trying to load this place up with some different lighter taps give you see-throughness. Like, I'm going to go right onto the fence. You can go in and make individuals later. Go right there. This straw is kind of coming out of here. There's more greenery over there. So it's faster. You know, if I was to touch it lightly on these, you could see the lighter highlights, but that's not the color I want. But it does speed things up. So let's get yellow. And we'll stay in the green world. Where's your other green? All right, so anything's going to be lighter than what's there, right? So we're going to just touch it lightly. Very lightly. Change the shape. And it just gets the colors in there quicker. I don't know if you're seeing the contrast yet, but I'll do it over here harder. It's kind of quick and fast, but it's not the final thing. It's got to be, you know, you got to put it in there. I've got to be careful. I can't fit in there. I can just do it a little bit here. Now the dark I put down originally is showing off these colors. Now cut my whatchamacallit. This also is really great for weeds. Let's see if we can do that. Not on the painting right now. I don't have the area set. And the canvas will hold it tighter, you know. You can double load it. You can pull all, double load means two colors on the brush at once. Okay, so, Roy Johnson, hello there. Ah, welcome. Max, hello there, sir. Okay, so you can see it's in that, it's not a photorealistic thing, but now we're going to start cutting in to, hopefully you guys can see the palette, and I'm going to put these brushes into the, like I said, over on the sidelines is all kinds of waters and the paint, the actual paints that are stored over there. Get them out of my way, work with a nice clean workspace. So the shading on the building was pre-mixed with the airbrush, you know, sprayed. But the base color, yeah, both colors were sprayed. And I recommend Wicked for now on. I used illustration colors, but it's not damaged or anything. It even had tape near it and stuff. But the Wicked paint will be stronger. Whoops, kind of dark there. It will be stronger than the illustration colors, which, you know, is that. Oops. Okay, so let's start cutting in the let's get a little bit of clear, let's clear this palette a little bit. So I'm going to dip in here. They say it cleans off pretty easy. So I'll just do one side right here. I mean, I know this from the past, that even when that dries, you can almost peel the acrylic off this. It's not, it's made for acrylics. Ooh. Hope you guys can see the palette good enough. So we'll keep this side for the fence. All right, so just to get something started, I did mix a color that I made for the actual fence. Why am I seeing it open? Oh, I must have had it open to paint a little area. I hope it didn't dry up. But I'm not going to use this. I'm going for that kind of color, but so I'm going to get some gesso. Okay, there's gesso. That's a liquid white that doesn't dry as quick as the tube white at all. They're two different things. One's real pasty and thick, and the other one is, you know, different. Okay, so I'm going to try to work with a small, let's try a nice flat rectangular brush. Got a fat handle. It's made by Robert Simmons, a really good brush, number 10. So you can see it's very nice, flat on both sides. Okay, so the first thing I could do is go into a little black right here and start making a base color. But if I remember correctly, there was like a burnt umber that I had mixed in. Now, because this is thick paint, I can actually take burnt umber from my bottle. I've done this before, and not squirt out paint, but just put some there and tint this thicker mixture. Just go in it and start sending it into the gray that I'm seeing there. There's more brown in it, so I'm gonna, now I killed it. No, just got to put more white in it. I'm just gonna try it. So now, without tape or anything, you're just gonna lay in the thick, yeah, that color will work. Okay, so move this water out of the way. I'm working around the phone, so I'm going to try to come in around the phone. So I'm kind of doing that Okay, so we want to get the brush to go like that. I'm not worried about the drawing anymore. I can just bring that down. It's going to be very dark actually. Press it harder and you get that nice base color. Let's see, this is pretty thick. Let's see if we got a thinner one. Yep, we do. A lot of brushes from when I had the school. I would recommend the flats for this. I could grab a sable, which is a round. As long as you grab brushes that are smaller than the shapes, you're good. But I just had the sable. This is great for lettering too, this one. It's very long, but it can pull a nice long line. So I'm not worried about all the different colors on the fence. I just want to get something started. I could go in airbrush colors on it. So let's get something started. Let's get a little bit of, maybe a little bit of the blue tone in there too. Just a little, whoops, too much. So what's the opposite of blue when you mix too much blue? That's orange. So if I put orange out, I can not lose my color. I can knock the blue away, but it can't be a lot of orange. It has to be like a speckle compared to, otherwise I'll have too much orange in it. So I'm going to put the orange out right here. And take it right off there. Put that out over there. So the blue, let's try a little bit here. And then wipe it. Now there's orange in there, so it should start sending that blue backwards. And it did. It's back in the gray world again. And so I got a little too carried away with that. I want a little bit more brown. And that should be good. And thicken it up with the white, a little brown, maybe a little bit of that yellow ochre. It's just a base color. It's a gray, so we can go back to the black. It's definitely a gray. So we're mixing it on here, and then we're going to use the other brush, this one. Whoops, that's got all the blue in it, right? Same thing, take the orange, put it in there, stir it around, and you just killed the blue. This is a good example, but too much orange will show the orange. So then you'd add more blue. But in this case, I'll go with some brown. I'm just making a gray, brownish wood color. Okay, so that's pretty nice. It's going to go like that, and then it's going to get fatter because it's not a normal board. See, now you're cutting in. Now everything's starting to fall into a nicer place. You can use, I usually use my hand as like a maul stick or whatever, and then I can just kind of guide it because it is rickety. It gets real fat there, and then it thins out. But this brush carries, and if you mess up, you just knock the greenery back down on it. And now I could use a little bit of liquid. So I can, now I know I moved my, whoops, I know I moved my liquid, so I can put water over in the corner of the palette, just sitting there, just to grab some water, and then try to look at the real picture. Gets really light over here. Sunshine. See that angle? When you turn the brush on an angle, you can get a point right there. And then you swing it in. I'm just going to cut right through the whole thing because I just want some solid things. And that's another fence over here. You can see how it could be used for lettering, cutting in a nice letter. So I'm using the liquid to move it along, and I'm using, taking advantage of the brush that can, you know, add this in quickly. Now while this is wet, this is another funky board. I can get darker in the beginning, right here, the more browns. it's wet on wet. So now you can just pull and leave some sunlight, create some marks, and then go back to your lighter color and cut that through. There. This has that darker brown on it too. I can't rest my hand. It's very difficult on this angle. I know that's got a lot of white in it there, but just getting shapes in there, and this goes downhill, kind of like that. Maybe not that skinny, it's probably a little bit more like that. And then this goes in here. I'll put a little brown on it because it has to have a distinguished mark because it shoots out of the one board. Hopefully I'm not blocking. Probably am. So then you start looking for shadows, like there's a shadow here. And then you're going to cut in with the fine brush. So there's less airbrushing, obviously, in this work, but that's all right. It's to show you both things. So this little board here has a shadow right here. If I could just put it in. And then it just thin line. That's too fat, but you can see grass through it, so that'll be all right in the long run. This is going to get really dark in here. I mean, really dark, darker than that. I don't know if that is that fat. I think this cuts down lower. It's like I said, they took wood that is all, you know, different shapes and made this fence. There's going to be another shadow coming down here. That's not dark enough. Looks like it's in the gray world, so I'll just put it in and take it out if I don't like it. That's too wide. Sorry guys, my arm just hit the phone. It'll be darker, it's just indicating it. Very dark over here, so I might as well just base tone it in. Maybe a little more brown. Like I said, I'm not going for photorealistic colors. I'm going the way I would paint before I learned all this other stuff. So this is easy, fun, and it's faster. You can still make nice looking work, you know. Landscapes were my specialty. I didn't have to use the projector. I didn't just could draw everything as it goes, you know, because it's what I could do. That's going to be shaped, but, and then I'm going to get a round sable now. Sable that has some, you know, a little bit of that where I can grab the darker gray right here. get paletted off and go to here. And then go to here. Now you're starting to see 3-dimension, which before it was very boring looking because it was just like kind of like a sloppy watercolor. Getting into the black here a little bit because it is maybe a little bit more gray tone, but basically there's a black shadow, wood grain, let some white run through it too to change it a little bit, lighten it, lighter pressure, you know. Just light hitting the fence, but very abstract right now. Very abstract. This needs more brown and white. Brown, 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 brown. Oops, palette that thing out and put that brown darker color in a little bit. I'll just go with the gray for now. Now, I'm doing that on purpose. That's wet, so I can go back in with some white just to show you that you can mix on the palette, on the painting. Just have enough liquid to make it move. And the other side can clean up that side, and then a little more white here. And it's still very abstract. It's not there. A little white over it. Melt it in, blend it. Even some water there. There's all kinds of little knots in this and designs that are very wood grainy. That's where you want to use the liquid and just carry those shapes. And it's still all in the rough, you know, it's just got to be till you get somewhere further along. just indicating this right now. I'm not trying to, in order for me to do this in detail, I need the painting in a whole nother position, you know, closer and all that stuff. Now I could take the water and glaze this. This is dry. Hopefully it won't be too dark. Yeah, it's too dark. So I'll save my neck with some white. Kind of right back where I started, but maybe the black into the wet will be better. Whoops, went a little bit too far out, but I want to make that smaller. So it's a rough piece of wood, who cares? The more you put light against dark, the more you're going to get shadows and things like that. So as this becomes a little bit more realistic, it starts to go into a better place, you know, as far as that's concerned. I even see a little bit of this lighter color on here. Maybe it's exaggerated right now, but I'm putting it in. Having fun, just painting and making some colors appear where they, very abstract too. There's a very strong orangey color right here on top of the yellow ochre. I don't know what it is, but it's in the wood. So just put it in, and there it is right there, if you can see it. Orange. So that blue is going to come down to the top of this fence. So this fence, let's get back to the gray right here. Oh, that's got to be super light. Super, super white. And maybe this isn't even going to be light enough. I just got to put something in there to cut through there. I could change the color of that later. Yeah, I'm kind of one-handing it here, not resting my hand on anything, and it's not how I paint, but it's okay. It's kind of happening in a strange way. Another board back there, right? Might have went up a little too far there, but that's just little boards behind boards. That goes back there. That's real light. That's a whole nother color. And this is real dark. So I'm just bouncing around and looking for lights and darks that are part of this painting. More water when it starts showing the holidays there. And yeah. Okay. So the more you kick it up a notch, the more it starts to go into a place that is showing some more realism. But again, this is going to be far from a photorealistic mixtures because I bypassed that. But I want to make it look nice, something that could hang on the wall. You know, I want it to be, I'll be playing with the clouds later. I'll be playing with the different things. That's like a whole nother color there that I don't even know what that's got, like a brown in it. Oops, sorry guys. Anybody still with me? Got a couple guys here. Okay. Well, I don't know how long ago you said it was looking good, Dan, but thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so see, this dries now, this cluster of, now this fence is not in line with that one. So we want to just kind of, see the holidays you get there? So we're just going to take the water and put in a watery color substance of, just to tell me that that's going to be darker there, and this is going to be darker here. It's like watercoloring. I don't even know where that color was. But it has to be very dark here. I'm getting sloppy too. I'm going to crash into the fence a little and go from there. So let's get a little bit of the green and the black. I'm looking at the fence. No, it's not that. I digress. So let's see if we can get a little bit more darks in here. And that's when everything, you can make these smaller shapes because they're further away. That's called atmospheric, no, not atmospheric perspective. That makes things fade. But it just, as perspective goes away, everything gets smaller. You know, as you get closer to the building, everything gets bigger there, and so on and so forth. A little too green. It should be another color, but I'm just trying to cut through there. Then there's going to be greens in there. There's going to be actually a little grass hitting it, you know. So, yeah, I got to get these into the water before they get, because the acrylics can get hardened, you know. Come into the studio the next day and the kids didn't clean their brushes good, and man, you got to go over to Michael's and buy a bunch of student quality brushes again. It gets expensive, but the profit from having children's art, and compared to the sign business, the profit was, you know, you're talking having a sign business with an art school, and the art school made more money with less overhead. The rent was the rent, but it made more money because it took less to do it. So, okay, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking my neck's killing me, and I don't know if I want to continue anymore. Let's see, about an hour and a half. So, okay. So save it to your page or whatever. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for watching. And, you know, I will take the phone out of the holder. You can see this later. What I'm going to do is show you my setup around me, because it's a little different. A lot more trays. Let me do that. Okay, so let me try to not turn the phone off. Okay, let me just pull it and make it snap. So this is what we're looking at here, the palette. Okay, there's the painting. There's the reference. Paints in the background. And let me just go around this. So I have my paints that are in drawers. They'll slide right back into the drawers that are waiting. and they're just there for whatever I need. A couple of waters. Now they're both dirty. Another water over there. Another tray to grab brushes that I was showing you. So I'm surrounded by a little bit of everything here, but that's my setup here. And there's the gesso. The drawer's open down here. Stuff builds up. That's over my lap. And yeah, I'm not really using the side stuff right now. So there it is from a distance. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you soon. Okay? Take care. God bless, guys. Be safe.